Hello everyone. I am really excited today for two huge reasons. One, this is one of my first videos where I'm talking about flight simulation, and I'm taking you to my favorite places in Arizona today, both in the real world and the simulated world. And two, I've partnered with one of the biggest names in real world and simulated aviation, Sporty's. More on them in a minute. For starters, some of you may remember a recent video where I showed off this other side of my studio where some fun takes place, but also the beginning of my very serious journey in aviation. And not to be outdone, Raymond recently took his first light aircraft flight, so it's something that we are both engaging in, both separately and together. We've both used various flight simulators over the years, but we've recently not only recommitted to the software, but we've also decided that it was time for some more tactile controls. You've seen our Logitech controls and how we've incorporated the LoopDeck CT, but with the help of Sporty's, we've moved those Logitech controls off of the desk, and we're trying out the newest controls on the block, the Honeycomb Alpha flight yoke and the Honeycomb Bravo throttle quadrant. We're just getting started with these, and in an upcoming video, we will be comparing this lean and mean combo to the Logitech items that we have, in case you're curious about the differences. Just a sneak peek, we're really digging the Honeycomb controls. I mean, there's an engine fire indicator light, so that's awesome, but more to come on that when we do our full comparison. A lot of you requested to see some flying, so today's the day. We're going to do some flying in a few different aircraft in Microsoft Flight Simulator and take you to some of those favorite places of mine in Arizona. Yes, the Grand Canyon is on the list, and Sedona, and maybe a few surprises as well. And if you followed my channel, you know that these are some of my favorite places in the world to go to in the real world and take pictures. So maybe we'll sneak in some real life photos as well for comparison. And honestly, it's not all about entertainment or learning to fly. You can legitimately use Flight Simulator to scout real life locations for your travels or for your photography and see how they may look in different types of weather and different times of the day. The solar and celestial model in the latest Microsoft Flight Simulator mimics real life, and the scenery is better than ever. Well, with certain limits. So that's what we're going to explore today. Before we get into those top 5 locations, I do want to say that today's video is sponsored in part by Sporty's, and I couldn't be more excited to have them involved. Whether you are a sim pilot, a real world pilot, or both, you may have heard of them. They've been in business for over 60 years, and when you browse through the website, which I've linked in the description, you'll see that they are fully committed to both real and simulated aviation. They also have training, both materials that you can study in your home and an actual real-life flight school. It's pretty exciting. Oh, and whether it is sim flight products or real flight, when you call them, you're talking to a real person. And it isn't like talking to Amazon or some other mega corporation. You're talking to someone who is excited about flight, has ready access to the product that you're calling about. And if there's a question or a support issue, they can grab the exact product from their warehouse just a few steps away and work with you to figure out the capability that you need or help solve whatever problem that you might be having. So they're high tech with an old school approach to helping you however they can. To support this video, future videos, and my own aviation journey, Sporty's has sent these Honeycomb controls, and I will also be trying their Learn to Fly course, which provides the knowledge to pass your FAA written, oral, and flight tests. And it even has a flight sim syllabus, bringing the sim world right into a journey toward real world flight. Thanks again to Sporty's, and definitely check out their site linked below. Okay, you can already see I'm flying over the Grand Canyon. And I'll tell you, even in the sim world, it's just fabulous. Plus you can bend the rules and frankly just outright break them and fly as low as you want over this famous national park and not have to worry about steep fines or losing your license. I love taking off from Grand Canyon Airport in Tucson and heading north for the views from the South Rim. The village and the views are all there. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing like the real thing, but no drones allowed in real life. So in the simulator, you can get unique perspectives and a sense of scale from above that you'd only get from a National Park Service helicopter. And that would probably mean that you were being rescued after hiking way too much on a hot day. So this is just a lot safer. If you really want to test your flight skills or your hiking skills, head down to the river and catch some views that you can't get from the rim of the canyon. And then maybe cap off the day with a cool, quiet North Rim sunset. There are no bad views at the canyon, and if you've not been there, you'll note that the scale is unreal. You can fly around it for hours, always discovering something new. Next, let's go to the far northeast of Arizona to Monument Valley, which has been featured in countless Westerns and many other movies, books, paintings, and all types of media. It's the embodiment of the American Southwest. And a recent Flight Simulator World update truly brought it to life. For this excursion, we've chosen the high-performance Extra 300 LT to fully engage with the scenery. The famous east and west mittens are here, and all of the mesas and buttes in their full glory. As I understand, recreational pilots can fly over, so this is something that you can do in real life. Maybe a little more safely than we're doing here. Whether you're high in the atmosphere or sneaking around at low altitude, there's not a bad view here. And there's dozens of hours to explore in all directions in the entire region, which is known as the Colorado Plateau. I don't get to that far northeast corner of Arizona often enough because it's pretty far from where I live and where I was born, Phoenix, Arizona, which is our next location. On my channel, you will see many desert photos, sunrises, sunsets, cacti, and time lapses, and many of those were captured in the Maricopa County regional parks surrounding Phoenix. Each park has its own character, but they share the same theme, the desert. The dry, rocky, sandy, cactus-filled desert. I do hope that we'll get more of those cacti in a simulator update, but the views are amazing and very faithful to real life. And in town, you can check out the super popular hiking destinations of Camelback Mountain and Payastoa Peak. But more often, you'll find Raymond and I hiking, biking, or running just a little further out of town in those regional parks. While you're in the area, take a cruise through downtown and then maybe set down at Sky Harbor Airport. Two things you're almost always guaranteed in Phoenix are a sunny day and views for miles. If the big city isn't your style, a short trip north and you can be in one of the most amazing destinations in America, Sedona, Arizona. Sedona is all about the Red Rocks and airport high above on a mesa. And for those of you who like to relax, plenty of cabins, camping, antiquing, art browsing and buying, resorts and golf. I mostly stayed away from Sedona for most of my life because it is such a popular tourist destination, but I fell in love with the skies above Sedona a few years ago on a trip with some new friends, photographers, and teachers that you may recognize here on YouTube. Microsoft's rendition of Sedona is quite faithful and really takes you there. Unlike our speedy venture through Monument Valley, in Sedona, I like to take it slow, both here by air and when I'm hiking down on the trails. When flying here, I usually fly something slow and maneuverable because there's something new to see at every turn, and as I explore around here, I like to let everything slowly unfold. And about that airport, it is uniquely positioned and truly is its own interesting part of the area. There can be strong downdrafts and there's steep slopes all around. We've had some good landings here and some that maybe weren't as elegant. Fortunately, all here on the computer. There certainly have been real life mishaps here, so I'm grateful to be able to succeed and fail in this safe environment. For our final favorite location, I'm cheating a little bit because it's multiple places. Let's call this location Weird Arizona. There's a lot of open desert out here in the Southwest and a lot of history. You're flying over the desert for quite a while and you start to see things that are a little out of the ordinary. There's a triangle out in the desert. Is this extraterrestrial art? An arrow pointing to an alien civilization? In this case, it's a World War II era Army airbase. Fly a little further through the desert and you may find one of these several auto manufacturer test facilities with giant ovals and squiggly roads throughout. You'd have to know someone or maybe work there to get access in real life, but when it comes to real or sim aviation, you can certainly take a peek. A recent world update to Microsoft Flight Simulator added a very nice rendition of Montezuma's Castle National Monument. The crown jewel of the monument is a 20-room dwelling built by the Sinagua people between about 600 to 900 years ago. And it's actually been a national monument for over 100 years. In real life, you can hike a trail beneath it and see it from below. In the simulator, you can get a closer look, like here in the Velocity air taxi. This is probably illegal, but I'm doing it for art and science. I'll work quickly just in case. And speaking of highly illegal flights, here we are over Davis-Monthan Air Force Base in Tucson, Arizona. What's super cool about this aircraft boneyard for excess military aircraft in Flight Simulator is that it's not just an aerial photograph that you're flying over. They've modeled the aircraft in all of their 3D glory. If you enjoy military aircraft, this is a must-fly destination in Flight Simulator. I'm not going to spend too long here because, I don't want to get busted for flying over these beautiful aircraft. Finally, my last mention in Weird Arizona, let's go about 18 miles west of Winslow, Arizona to Meteor Crater. 3,900 feet across, 560 feet deep, caused by a meteorite striking the Earth at about 30,000 miles per hour about 50,000 years ago. The crater itself has its own weird history. There were attempts at mining the iron underneath, whose existence seems to be a myth. The land is actually privately owned. NASA astronauts have trained there, and a Cessna 150 crashed into it in 1964. And when you've had enough for the day, fly west of Meteor Crater, further west over my home away from home, Flagstaff, Arizona. Also well represented here, and have an easy landing on a cold winter night at 7,000 feet above sea level at Flagstaff Airport, nestled in the pines. Flagstaff is my honorable mention in this list. You can get some hot cocoa inside before you head to your next destination, maybe after a good night's sleep downtown. Well, that's all the flying for today, friends. I want to thank Sporty's again for sending these honeycomb controls and for sponsoring a portion of this video. Remember, I will have another video coming soon where Raymond and I both use the honeycomb controls and the Logitech controls, and we compare them. In the meantime, you can find out more about both sets of controls on sportys.com, which I will link to in the description of this video. And if you're here for the photography, don't you worry, I have plenty of photo and adventure projects coming soon too, so subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for watching.